Good morning, beautiful people. Today's video is going to be about how I turned my hair from like really like magenta, pink, red. I don't even know what the color is, but I'll show you guys pictures. So yeah, it's like a magenta, pink, red type of color to this type of blonde that I have going on. Maybe some tips that might help you guys along the way, and what I did to kind of help heal. As you can see, my hair is a little damaged, but yeah, we're gonna go through that. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, story time first. So I have always really wanted to dye my hair. Specifically, I've always wanted to dye my hair blue. So in the beginning of quarantine, it was kind of like everybody was telling me, why don't you just do it now? We're off of work for 3 months. Like, what's the point? Just do it. And the only reason why I hadn't been able to do it is because at the restaurant that I serve at, we're only allowed to have a neutral hair color. So it has to be, you know, brown, blonde, brunette's brown. I've dyed it red once before, but it was like, it wasn't that deep of a red, and it wasn't really my whole entire head, so it was okay. But yeah, so then afterwards I finally got up like the courage. I was like, okay, I've always wanted to dye my hair blue. I'm gonna dye my hair blue. So me and my sister went to Sally's beauty shop, got all of the stuff. I ended up getting the bleach to bleach my hair, and then I bought the Arctic Fox, the blue, and so we started off with that. So I ended up bleaching my whole head, and then I did it blue, but my hair doesn't lift as easily as my sister's does, and we were doing it the same time. She wanted to retouch her hair, and I just wanted to, you know, have a new start. So my hair kind of turned like, you know, you could see the orangey right now in my hair, but my hair kind of turned a little bit of orange. Some spots were, you know, almost like that, like yellowy-ish, that you can kind of get away with it. But then I was, you know, scared of green. And what ended up happening is that some parts were actually really blue. Like my ends really took the blue really nicely. And then after that, it was kind of just downhill from there. It was green, it was yellow, it was splotchy, like it was a whole bunch of different colors, which obviously I'm not a hairstylist, so it kind of just blew up in my face a little bit. So I was like, okay, I'm done with the blue. And my sister read something that she was like, oh, blue, green. She was like, I read that red cancels out green. She's like, let's just dye your hair red. So I ended up getting this bottle of something. It was magenta, it wasn't even red. So I was like, whatever, we're still in quarantine, do it. Then quarantine ended. So I was left with this, like, you know, honestly, it was a really pretty, like, magenta, like, pinky-ish, like, almost a hint of red. Like, I can get away with it in pictures that it looked red. But you can tell it was kind of like magenta pink. So I ended up having to go back to work, and then like 2 or 3 weeks in, when they kind of figured, okay, we're gonna be open for a little bit now, you know, we have no other restrictions on outdoor dining and stuff, so you know, we probably gonna be open for like the next 2 or 3 months, hopefully more. So they were like, Ray, you have to change your hair. Like, you just have to get rid of the red, you have to get rid of the pink, it's you know, it's too much, we let it slide for quarantine, blah blah blah. So here I am having to go through a magenta pink, and I wanted to go back blonde because I'm like, well, I bleached my hair underneath, why not just go back blonde? And I really liked how I looked blonde. I think it's because I have a lot of like features, like my hair isn't really like dark, you know, it's kind of like that light brownie-ish, so it's really not too bad. So I was like, yeah, let's just go blonde. And I loved being a blonde. The only thing that sucked is, you know, the hair damaging thing, obviously, but yeah. So now let's get into my whole blonde magenta journey to the now new blonde. Okay, so to start off with, I had probably about 2 days, 3 days to get my hair from this magenta pink-ish to blonde. So you could just imagine the struggle for me. So I booked a trip to go see one of my best friends. She's getting married, so I ended up booking a trip to go see her for like the weekend for about 4 days. And I was like, can I please just, you know, leave my hair in until I get back from my trip, and I'll fix it and then come back. And they were like, okay, cool, you know? So I was like, perfect. So I went on my trip. Perfect. Everybody loves my hair. It was so cute. It was so pink. It was so magenta. Like, awesome. Everybody loved it. Then I came home and I was like, oh shit. Like, literally, as soon as I got off the flight, I headed straight to Sally's. So I ended up buying this, you know, blonde brightening kit something. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm not a hairstylist. So I bought that, and then after, I ended up just trying to like find a specific toner. So everybody talks about the Wella stuff. So obviously, and I've used Wella before in the past when I did have blonde, probably about like 2 or 3 years ago. But it didn't really turn out too blonde, and I had used the Wella, the T18 and the T14, which I really, like I said, I tried to do my research on it. I've tried to like, you know, watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos, and it still really never resonated with me, obviously because I didn't go to school for it. But, you know, I don't want to pay for it, and it's it's really expensive. So I was just like, let's just do it ourselves. And I've been doing my hair by myself at home ever since I can remember. I've never been to a salon. They've never touched my hair, never done anything. I cut my own hair. I do everything. So obviously you can see it's kind of a little choppy, but I get away with it. So anyways, okay, here we go. How to get from magenta to blonde. All right, so I started off with bleaching my hair. So I had this bleaching, you know, whatever powder. So it says, you know, like use a 1-to-1 like ratio or 1 part to 1 part ratio. So I did. I bought 20 volume. So I ended up using this bleaching kit, and then I used a 20 volume and I mixed it together, and, you know, I started the bleaching process. So like my ends were still really like pinky-ish, but then like the top, it was more of like that bright like magenta like red, you know, because it started fading really fast. So I didn't want to do my roots, as you can see, so I ended up trying to only bleach, kind of, you know, leaving that like 2-inch, but then I also wanted it to blend, so I tried to like, you know, feather it in. And so I did that, and then after I shower, you know, I waited, I think probably about like 35 minutes, and then you know, it honestly looked like it was all gonna wash out. So then I got in the shower, I washed it out. It didn't come out. So I have a picture of what it looked like. I still had a lot of pink, not in my ends, just like in my roots. Like I really just couldn't get it out in my roots. And I did bleach my roots last, which they say to do that because with the bleaching process, your scalp, it's warmer towards, you know, towards your head. It's warmer towards your scalp. So with the heat and everything, I thought it would have lifted really nicely, and it didn't. So I still had like pink, and giving you like, I had to go to work the next day, but I'm like, shoot, do I want to bleach it this, you know, in the same day? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave it like this for today. It kind of had like that like fiery ombre look. So it kind of was like a pink, like reddy pink. And then like it went into like this yellow orangey kind of color. So it actually looked pretty cute, I thought. Probably not to others, but I'll insert a picture right here. You can see, I thought it looked really nice, but maybe other people didn't. Okay, anyways, so now I ended up waiting the night to be able to, you know, give my hair a break. And so when I ended up waking up the next morning, I woke up really early because I had to go to work. So I was like, hey, let me see if I can do like a hair color removal, like DIY at home. So I did some research, and you can use, I think it's baking powder, baking soda, something like that. Baking soda, dish soap, and I want to say like the volume, the 20 volume like developer or something like that. I ended up mixing, I don't remember, so a couple weeks ago, but I ended up mixing all of that together. And I only put it on my roots because I was like, well, that's the only part that's like pinky-ish. That's what I want to kind of get rid of. So I put it on my roots. I left it for probably about like another 30-40 minutes just to see if like the color will come out. The color didn't come out. It didn't work. And it honestly ended up making my hair look really like gringy and nasty and dry and crunchy, and I think that was because of the dish soap. I probably should have used like shampoo or, you know, something else instead of the dish soap, because the dish soap really dried my hair out. So I was like, okay, there's like, I need to do something else. So I was like, I still have a couple hours before I have to go to work. Like, this is like probably 8 o'clock in the morning and I have to work at like 5. So I have like a couple hours to try and fix this. So I was like, you know what? Let me see what I can do. So obviously I still had like kind of like this, you know, like the yellowish kind of like color. This is probably a little bit more blonde, but probably like my ends. A little bit more yellowish color. So I was like, hey, why don't I just dye the roots? Like, I've seen that before, right? People that want or like tone my roots. So I got this idea, like, the blonde's fine. I love the blonde. Let me just dye my roots. So I was like, I wanted it to be like darker. You know, I didn't want it to be like a light brown like how my hair like normally was. And I really wanted it to fade really nicely when my regular roots, you know, my natural hair color started to grow on. So I had this leftover Arctic Fox, you know, semi-permanent hair dye in Transylvania. What I didn't realize at the time was that Transylvania is not specifically black. I had bought it because I thought it was black and I wanted to go black at the time, but I didn't really use it. I mixed it in with the blue because I wanted the blue to be a little bit darker. And so what I didn't realize is that it has a good hint of like purple or blue in it. So I ended up doing my roots, which I'll insert a picture here now. So as you can see, I, lathered it. I actually thought I did a pretty good job of getting, the black from the roots, or like in, saturated in the roots and away from the blonde. So now fast forward, I probably left that in for about another 30-40 minutes, just how like you're normally supposed to. And I was like, perfect, I'm gonna wash this out and it's gonna be this great like ombre effect. I'm gonna have like this, dark hair color into this like, beautiful like blonde. It's probably not gonna be as light, but it's still gonna be blonde. So I was like excited. I hop in the shower, I go to rinse and to get it all off, and it bled. It bled into the entire hair, like from the root all the way down. And I should have noticed. I should have probably not have done that at the time, because whatever I put on my scalp, I don't know why, like my hair just, it doesn't catch color, like it doesn't want to be blonde, like it just doesn't want to do anything. So obviously not, because I'm not a hair professional, so obviously I don't know. But so I get out the shower, everything from my roots had just like bled into it, and I ended up having like blue, purple, green, like I had all these different colors in my hair part, and I only had like an hour before I had to go to work, and there was nothing that I could do at the time. I was just like, they have to get over it. This is what my hair is going to look like today. It's literally going to be every single color of the rainbow. I'll insert a picture I had taken on Snapchat that I sent to my boyfriend because I was so upset. So here's the picture of my multicolored hair that I ended up doing. Okay, so yeah. So that happened. And I ended up just having to do my hair a certain way. That way I can kind of hide the colors and hide, the blues and the greens and the whatever, like purple that I had in my hair. The rest of my hair, it wasn't blonde anymore. Like it turned kind of like this brown, like silvery-ish color, which I should have known. I probably should have known, but it was COVID. Life's an adventure, just gotta get through it. But I will tell you that my hair was very, very severely damaged. It was dry, it was brittle, it was stringy, it was disgusting. So now we'll get into how I fixed it. So I wouldn't really call this like a straight fix, as far as like just some recommendations and some things that I did to try and, get me back to somewhat a decent color, which it's a couple different colors right now again because I'm letting it fade. But so after that, I had already bleached it. I did the color removal, and then I tried to re-dye my hair. So it's been through a lot in the last 2 days. So I was just like, leave it alone. So my cousin had ended up giving me the products. I'll show you right now. The Olaplex products. So I have the Olaplex, the number 4, the Bond Maintenance Conditioner. So repairs, straightens, and hydrates all hair types. So obviously my hair was really damaged and really dry at this time. So obviously I needed a good quality shampoo and conditioner. So I ended up using the Olaplex. I used, obviously you can see I'm like really low because it's really good. So I use the shampoo when, you know, I get in the shower and just shampoo it and, you know, rinse it off just to my roots. I don't really shampoo my ends. But for the conditioner, what I ended up doing for the next couple of weeks, I just really wanted to let my hair breathe because I did want to re-bleach my hair. So for the next probably like week, almost 2 weeks, I ended up almost every other day or every 2 days doing kind of like a conditioner mask. So I would mix this, you know, with some lovely other oils and stuff that I found. So I had this and I would just mix it and I would put it in my hair and I'd leave it either overnight or I'd leave it literally from like in my hair from like 8 o'clock in the morning all the way to like 7 or 8 o'clock at night for a good like 12 hours, almost 24 hours. So I would just leave this in my hair and it honestly, it helped my hair so much because it, like I said, when I did all this stuff and I went to work, it was dry, it was brittle, it was like stringy, it was cracking. I didn't lose a lot of hair, which is obviously a relief, but this actually did save my hair and save my life. So I recommend using the Olaplex, even if you just want to put some conditioner into like your wet hair after you get out of the shower, you know, lather it all up, leave it in a ponytail, leave it in a bun for a couple of hours. You'll really see the difference. It made my hair really soft and kind of brought like a little bit of life back to it after I just killed it. So yeah, use those. And then another product that I ended up finding out that somebody said helps them with like the silvery kind of, my hair is kind of like silvery green. So another thing that I found that someone said really kind of like helped brighten the hair was Head & Shoulders. So I had, because I, you know, do suffer from dry scalp every now and then, I had a little travel size bottle of Head & Shoulders. So I saw that this video, this girl, she used Head & Shoulders to help with like her silvery, I guess it was more like green, just to cancel out the green. So she used the Head & Shoulders and it actually did come out a little bit brighter and stuff. So I was like, hey, why don't I just use this as my shampoo when I'm in the shower? You know, one, it'll help with my dry scalp, which always happens during the wintertime anyways. And maybe it'll, you know, bring some refreshing color back to my hair. So it did. So now, as you can see my hair now, I apologize, it's a little all over the place, but after all of that, the only thing that I ended up doing, so I probably waited about like I said, like probably about 1.5 to 2 weeks to re-bleach my hair. And I only wanted to re-bleach kind of the parts that were still a little bit more on like the green, you know, grungy type of side. So I ended up just getting a little bit from like my root. This is like what was the only part that had like that just like ugly grungy green color. So I ended up doing that and this is what happened. So after I kind of did like a bleach wash. So I mixed bleach and shampoo and like a little bit of developer to kind of like dilute it a little bit so it wasn't as strong. And once again, I only used 20 volume developer, which is probably why my hair doesn't lift as much. Maybe I do need to go up to 30 and 40. Maybe in the future when I decide to, you know, retouch up or re-bleach my hair, probably use something like that, a little bit stronger. But that's what I ended up using. And this is the ending result of what it's come out. So honestly, there is a lot of discoloration, as you can see. I have like a bunch of different colors going on in here. So yeah, it's grown out quite a bit, but you can kind of see. To be honest, I don't think it's that bad. Like, it could be worse. I've had some people compliment me on the hair. The only thing that obviously I don't really like, if you can see this one piece of hair, I feel like if this one piece of hair wasn't there, it probably look a lot better, but it's because this one, I don't know, it just took everything that's always closer to my head, like these ones always take a lot easier, and like my roots will never take the color. Anyway, so I didn't end up toning my hair, but I am gonna end up toning my hair, maybe rebleaching a couple of spots. And yeah, maybe I'll post the results for that for you guys in the near future. But my advice to you is to just do your research before you want to go from an extremely high pigmented color back to blonde or back to any type of color, because they say Brad Mondo on the color wheel. Obviously, you have to use something that's opposite of the color wheel and stuff like that. So I didn't do a lot of research before I ended up doing this, and now I've like pretty much watched almost every single Brad Mondo video because I was so traumatized and I really thought that my hair was gonna fall out. And I was like, I need to know what's going on. I need to do a little bit more research because I do have cousins and I have an aunt who is, you know, a cosmetologist, you know, where they give me advice. They, you know, give me little tips and stuff like that, but nobody has ever really done my hair for me. I've always done my hair by myself. So I would just say do your research. Make sure that your hair is at like a somewhat healthy stage if you want to, you know, do that bleaching process, which my hair pretty much was. I only bleached it the once, which was a couple months prior with the blue. And, you know, I hadn't really bleached it in like, you know, another month or two. And then I tried to re-bleach it because it had like that blue greeny-ish color that I wanted to, you know, get out. And then I ended up going the red because my sister said it'll cancel out the green. And then all this ended up happening. So be gentle with your hair, love your hair. For me, the only reason why I like going blonde is because I know that blonde, you know, it dries your hair out when you bleach it. And my hair is this, like, as you can see, even right now, like it's my hair is naturally oily and like it gets really nasty. Like I have to wash my hair like every single day, which I've stopped. Also, that's another tip. Do not wash your hair every single day. Like I try and go like a whole week without washing your hair because the water is really, really damaging to your hair. Like I've noticed that every time I got into the water, like it was just so like soft. Like it didn't feel like my hair. So yeah, so normally I'd have to take like, you know, a shower every day, every other day because of how oily my roots are. But when I bleach it, you know, it ends up drying it out. So I can literally go like, you know, a week. This is probably it would be almost 4 or 5 days that I haven't really, you know, done too much to it, as you can tell. But it does help and it does give your scalp time to breathe and to, you know, distribute those natural oils that come from your scalp throughout the rest of your hair, which would really help in the healing process if your hair wasn't that damaged. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to know any more specifics, I will link all the products and everything that I used down below so you guys can, you know, maybe do a fix or try and do the opposite of what I did. So until next time, enjoy guys. Let me know if there's any comments. Please like and share. Alrighty guys, so for today's topic, it's going to be a video of why I ended up choosing to go to nursing school. So without further ado, we'll get started.